Good evening. Welcome to Third Place Books. On the internet, we wish you were all here in one of our stores in the Seattle area, but for now, this will have to do. And we're so thrilled to see you all joining tonight. My name is Sam. I work here in the events program at Third Place Books. And if you are local to the Seattle area and know our stores, you might recognize me from one of the many hundreds of author events that we do in the course of a year. And we've pivoted that program online during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're so glad that you've been able to join us for these virtual events as well. Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to have the Thrive Global team with us tonight, and I know that many of you are very excited to hear from them, so I will make my comments brief. But I just want to direct your attention to a couple of things before we begin. Many of you have tickets tonight for tonight's event that include a copy of Your Time to Thrive, the brand new Thrive Global book, and those are on their way to you with signed book plates. And if you'd like to buy a copy or buy an additional copy of the book tonight, we'll be putting out the link for that. We do have some book plates left. So we hope that if you love what you hear tonight, you will consider picking up a copy of Your Time to Thrive from Third Place Books. Your book purchase is what keeps us doing these kinds of events. It's what keeps us here in Seattle selling books, and we are so grateful for your support. So thank you very much. And do check us out on social media. You can follow us online at Third Place Books on most of the major platforms. You'll see right above my head there is our handle, and you can give us a follow there, check out what else we've got going on. There's always something new and exciting out there, and we have many author events coming up that you may be interested in, as well as, of course, new books every Tuesday and all sorts of other fun content. So do check that out. And now, without further ado, I'd like to jump right into it. We are, of course, here tonight. This is one of several stops on the Thrive Tour. Each of them have a different theme, and tonight's is nutrition and hydration. In a strange new world as we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic and the odd year that preceded this one, we're here to learn how to thrive in the new normal, as Arianna Huffington puts it on the jacket copy for Your Time to Thrive. We're here to learn how to thrive in the new normal, one microstep at a time. And we are so glad that you are here with us to learn how to do that. I am so thrilled this evening to welcome Marina Kadecal. She is Thrive Global's head of content development. She's also been a top editor for national media outlets, including Women's Health, Glamour, and Cosmopolitan. And she's the author, along with the editors of Thrive Global, of Your Time to Thrive. And joining Marina is Arianna Huffington. She is the founder and CEO of Thrive Global, a leading behavior change tech company helping individuals, corporations, and communities improve their well-being and performance through its behavior change platform, storytelling, and corporate services. She's also, of course, the founder of the Huffington Post, and she is the author of 15 books, including most recently Thrive and the Sleep Revolution. And I know many folks out there are very excited to hear that tonight, Arianna and Marina are going to be in conversation with Hannah Bronfman, a native of New York City. Hannah Bronfman is truly a modern-day Renaissance woman. She's a graduate of Bard College, where she studied fine art, and she's built a reputation as a celebrity and an influencer through her work as an entrepreneur and a health and wellness expert, as well as her passion for fashion and activism. She is the founder of HB Fit, and she currently serves as a global brand ambassador for Adidas. She's also the author of Do What Feels Good. We'll send out a link to that book. And she's been featured in a number of global campaigns by numerous publications for print and online stories. She's hosted and co-hosted programs for channels such as E!, Pop Sugar, VH1, and the Food Network. And she served as a guest editor and a blogger for outlets like Teen Vogue and Equinox, many others. Please join me from wherever you are in welcoming to our virtual stage, Marina Kadecal, Arianna Huffington, and Hannah Bronfman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us, Sam.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
So great to be with you. I love the spring theme.
I could say the same for you. I love the floral. That was, by the way, quite a bio. I feel like we need to cut that down. guys, I'm so excited to chat about this book, and I hope everyone is excited to hear from the legend herself tonight. This book really resonated with me, and I feel like will resonate with so many people because obviously coming out of like a very hard year for so many people, we are trying to take back our lives moving forward, and it's a time to thrive. So I kind of want to just jump into it because the chapter that we're discussing tonight is obviously one that hits near and dear to me, all about nutrition and hydration as I sit here drinking my Flow water. I hope everyone's got a glass of water with them tonight. Look at you. So I kind of just want to, before we go into kind of why this resonates so much with me and micro steps and kind of why I think that this book really shows tangible ways that you can take control of your life and really own your course and kind of figure out your, coming out at a beautiful outcome with simple things like micro steps. I want to back up for just 1 second and talk about how this is really Thrive's first book. And it really, to me, I also, for the audience at home, I actually DJ'd Thrive's opening in Soho. How many years ago now?
2016, November 30th, 2016.
Oh my goodness. So this is a full circle moment for me, but you guys have built an incredible thing at Thrive. And why does this book really encapsulate everything that you guys have been working towards over the last couple of years?
Well, Hannah, first of all, we are thrilled that you're here tonight because you were truly such a big part of our launch. And the reason why this is really an encapsulation, as you said, of what we've been doing in the last 4 years is because our focus has been on how to help people make small behavioral changes in their lives that make us healthier and happier without believing that we can do that with huge New Year resolutions and overhauls of our whole life. And as you know, whenever we start that very big way, we fall off the wagon quickly and it's harder to get up again. So our whole concept of microsteps is based on the science that shows that through small incremental daily steps, we build a healthier life. And the book includes every aspect of life: nutrition and hydration, of course, movement, sleep, gratitude, finances, every aspect of life that produces stress and undermines our health if we don't address them.
I love that. And tell me, why do you think that the micro step is what's going to resonate right now in this moment of time with us to make those changes?
Yeah. So Hannah, we actually started writing this book before the pandemic, but then the pandemic hit and all of our lives were turned upside down. We were working from home, like many of you at home probably still are. And the idea of micro steps, which are small science-backed actions that we can start taking immediately to see a benefit to our well-being, became even stronger. The lure of micro steps, this idea that we are all so overwhelmed. There's so much going on. So much has gone on this year that the idea of a big life overhaul just didn't feel realistic anymore. We want to improve our lives. We don't want to, be stagnant. We want to improve our habits, but we can start small. And there's so much science saying that like starting small actually helps us get big results. There's nothing wrong with aiming big, but we can actually help ourselves by starting small. So we filled this book with our favorite science-backed micro steps for, all the topics that matter most to our well-being. So sleep, obviously nutrition and hydration, movement, but things like connection and focus and meaning. And so it's a really sort of, you can dip in and out wherever you want and start looking at what micro steps work for other people and pick ones that work for you.
I love that. And when we talk about like nutrition and hydration specifically, I love that you guys are tying nutrition and hydration into our positive behaviors, because I feel like we all know, but maybe we don't all know, that the choices that we're making and the things that we're fueling our body with are obviously such a huge driver in the output of our energy and our sleep and all the things. And what I love so much that you guys touch on is how different a micro step is compared to like a New Year's resolution or a goal, and how much more attainable the micro step really is in your everyday habit. And I love that, like, even, Michelle Obama talks about, one of her favorite micro steps is just adding a vegetable to every meal that you are having, which sounds like so much more, easy to do than putting together a diet goal, for instance, or something like that. It's just like the way that you're thinking about it changes the behavior. And I just think that
that's why, like, swaps are a big part of the book.
Yes.
Because it's the opposite of the way most nutrition and hydration advices runs, which is, you drink 4 sugary drinks a day, stop. That's not going to work right away. If you say, can you replace half of one of them with water? Or can you replace a sugary snack with berries or strawberries or something that gives you some satisfaction? Or if it comes to exercise, can you start with 1 push-up? I know that sounds ridiculous, but what happens is that suddenly if you do 1 push-up, you begin to see yourself as the person who exercises. And that begins to build kind of the success muscle every day. And then you want to do 2 push-ups and 3 push-ups. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour a day, you may do it for 3 weeks and then you stop. And when you stop, we have so much data that shows that it's much harder to start again.
And I love that. I completely hear you on that. I think also you talk about the behavior that's triggered when talking about the swaps or the micro steps versus like cutting something out or depriving yourself of something. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right, Hannah. So much of how we eat is tied to our mindset and our outlook. It's not just about like, oh, like what am I hungry for? Our food choices really are shaped by our beliefs. And I love, there's a Stanford food expert, Maya Adam, in this book who talks a lot about it and recommends just this mindset shift where you ask, like you would if you're dating someone, because eating is very intimate. We're putting food in our body. Like, is this food good enough for me? Like, is it worthy of me? And of course, not everything we eat is going to be like the perfect nutritional, components, but it's just an interesting mindset shift that food can be a partner that drags us down or that lifts us up, and, the food that we eat, she's saying it could be the kind of partner your friends and family wish you'd break up with, or it could be a partner that's truly worthy of you and you're building you up and bringing you joy. And that's something that we want people to implement too. Like, food is about eating and it's about joy and it's about connection and mindfulness. So one of the micro steps that I love is sit down when you eat, even if it's just for a few minutes, because we know, like, mindless eating, it can lead us to have more calories, eat more, feel bloated. So, and if you can, choose a place to eat that's not the same place that you sit and work. Like, the sad desk salad is a meme for a reason. We shovel it in our mouths. We don't even taste it. So even just a few minutes sitting down and savoring what we eat is, it can really alter the mindset of eating.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to say, if you have a satisfactory meal, you are much less likely to want to snack. And there is so much amazing science now around giving our digestive system some time to recalibrate and not to be chewing all the time. And our culture is so based on snacking. Like, snacks are like an unavoidable part of everything, every meeting, every exchange. And in fact, I'm Greek. So trust me, I was brought up in a household where my mother really thought something terrible would happen to you if you didn't eat every 20 minutes.
Mhm.
So food, all the time, food was constantly there. So I had to be very conscious
Yeah.
about changing these habits one micro step at a time. And another thing that Marina and I love is what we call habit stacking. Like if you are doing something which doesn't require your brain, like brushing your teeth or washing your hands, that's a great time to add a healthy habit. It could be like I'm washing my hands and then I'm going to have a glass of water.
Mhm.
Or in the morning, it's so great to start the day right after you brush your teeth with a glass of water. I mean, small things, but if you stack them together, the one thing reminds you of the other. My favorite habit stacking is not about food, it's about working out while I'm binge watching my favorite shows. So the other day I wanted to finish Bridgerton and I spent 2.5 hours on the treadmill. So
It's
basically,
amazing.
how to use our addictive behavior, our addictive tendencies, and we all have them
Mhm.
for good.
Right. No, it's so funny. Well, I want to go back 1 second when we were talking about, sitting down and having a meal and, turning that into a moment instead of rushing it out the door all the time. It's shown that when you smell your food, that's actually what starts your saliva, and your saliva carries like many enzymes that help you break down your food better to better digest. So, when was the last time you really sat down and smelled your food before you started eating, right? Those small cues that you give your brain and take a moment really add up, and it could be as something as simple as your daily digestive tract, which we all know when things are backed up, we're not feeling great. So it's so funny that you say like sit down, because even someone who, by the way, knows the science and just told you that, I find myself eating standing up constantly, especially with, a new kid and trying to juggle work-life balance, which so many of your readers are also dealing with. And what I love also about your book is, I just like mentioned how, I was quoting Michelle Obama's micro step. And why do you think, and I love that. And I love kind of knowing about other people's, what their insight into the micro step and the swaps and how to make those adjustments. Why do you think it's so kind of important for us to hear from others in terms of their stories and their success stories and what worked for them?
Well, I mean, Hannah, you have so many followers. People love following you. They love seeing like what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're working out. So we're just voyeuristic as people. So we wanted to
Yeah.
include tons of stories of real people from all walks of life in this book. Like you said, everyone from Michelle Obama and Tom Brady and Jennifer Aniston's micro steps to, people who work at Thrive. We always say
Yeah.
we don't eat our own dog food, but we drink our own champagne at Thrive. Every chapter, you'll find a microstep diary from a Thrive staffer who tried out a microstep from that corresponding topic. And some were more challenged than others, and some realized one tiny step can actually change your life. And it sounds silly because we work there, so of course we know this. But when you put it into practice, you really see the difference these microsteps can make. And doing it, as Ariana was saying, it builds that muscle and gives you something to celebrate every day. If you did nothing
Yeah.
else for your health, like you did one small step, and that's something to celebrate, and you just build on those wins, and it's a great feeling. But yeah, the storytelling is so important because we can shout the science from the rooftops all day long,
Yeah.
but if we don't have heart and if we don't have real people's stories in there, then it doesn't really take. And as Ariana can speak to as well, the book also weaves in a lot of ancient wisdom that is surprisingly to some, not to Ariana because she follows, but surprisingly to some, very relevant for our modern times. And it really helps us shift how we see things.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. Why is it so important? I agree that it's important to look to our past to understand our future. Tell us a little bit about some of this ancient wisdom, because I am one of those people who, obviously we've been around in many forms for many, many, many centuries now. And I find that in wellness and in the trends of wellness, we're constantly looking at adaptogens and powders that or ingredients in skincare that, have this ancient wisdom along with the science. But the fact that the people had done this without the science before, the tie there, can you go in a little bit about that? Because there is something so beautifully esoteric about the whole thing.
I agree. I think it's great if you think of how our ancestors lived. They were not eating all the time. They were moving. And they didn't have snacks everywhere along the way. And we developed that way. And our digestive systems are developed that way. In the same way around sleep, they tended to go to sleep long before we go to sleep. And, obviously that's not doable, but at least all the science shows that going to sleep before midnight makes a big difference because your digestive systems have time to regenerate during the right kind of cycles. And I tease Marina because she tended to stay up late. So
Me too.
She and I worked out a little reminder. Marina, you want to talk about it?
Yes. So we know like sleep is tied to everything. If you get proper sleep, your decisions are better, your relationships are better, you eat better. And I was creeping up in the time that I would go to sleep, and I adopted one of my favorite micro steps, which is to set an alarm a little bit before I went to bed to like start winding down. But even before I did that, I would look at the clock, and Ariana has a thing about going to bed before midnight. So I would see 11:45 and I'd be like 11:40 thrive. And that's how I see it now. It's 11:45. Like I have to, it's time to start winding down. And every time I look at a clock and it says 11:45, I will forever think 11:45. But like speaking of the ancient wisdom, one of my favorite ancient wisdom quotes in this book, I think you can tie it to everything, but you can also tie it to food. Like we eat so much out of boredom and trying to fill, to fill a void. Like we're bored, and so we're like reaching, as Ariana said, the snacks are so readily available. And I don't think this quote is even in the food chapter, and it's by a 17th century philosopher, Blaise Pascal. But he said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And it just speaks so much to even what you were saying before, Hannah, just sitting there, smelling your food, savoring your food, like taking that space to think mindfully about what we're eating and think mindfully about what we're going to do next is so important. So that's like one of my favorite ancient wisdom quotes woven throughout the book.
And that's so connected to countering the fast food trend. Fast food is the opposite of food.
Right.
Because food has that element of savoring, as you said, and it doesn't have to be a long meal. It can literally be 10 minutes, but consciously, mindfully having whatever you are eating. And the cultural identification with drive-throughs and fast food has done so much damage to our health. I mean, look at the skyrocketing rates of diabetes. It's just really tragic, and at younger and younger ages. But we have an opportunity to turn that around. That's why we're so optimistic in the book, because everything we're recommending is super doable.
Yeah.
So doable. No, I was going to say, Hannah, I read that something you do is something I do too. And I habit stack it with a microstep, is taking a minute before checking your phone in the morning. And that is like my favorite microstep in the book. And I read that you did it too. And I, to Ariana's point, use that minute to drink a glass of water, because we wake up dehydrated after sleeping. And not a lot of people know that. I didn't really know that before. So it makes me crave like less food throughout the day just to get that hydration first thing and to take that quiet moment.
And in fact, the micro steps around sleep are very connected to food, because we have all the science that shows that when we are exhausted and sleep deprived, we are going to crave bad carbs and sugars physiologically. No matter how much willpower we have, our body and our cravings are going to win. So that's why I tell people, if you're trying to lose weight, don't get up before you had enough sleep to go to the gym. Sleep in, get enough sleep, because otherwise you'll go to the gym, you will eat stuff that puts on weight, and you are going to really fall behind on your goals.
I completely agree. I think, sleep and nutrition are so closely linked, to your cortisol levels, all the things. And when your cortisol is high, you simply cannot, you can't lose those 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds that you're looking to lose. And that really, the cortisol isn't even really controlled by the food. It's really controlled by your sleep and your nervous system. And another thing I always say is, it's really important not to eat so close to bedtime, right? Because you also your body's working while you're sleeping to detox and just simply digest. So, sleep is so important to the overall system, and so I couldn't agree more that it is, sleep is a huge factor. And I also was waking up so thirsty in the morning, and I wasn't loving, before I found Flow, I also wasn't loving Flow waters in a Tetra Pak, and I wasn't loving having bottled water just for the single-use plastic aspect, and so it actually gave me an opportunity to invest in like a kind of pretty glass carafe that I found made it more fun for me to drink water. The fact that I could feel good about cutting down my plastic, and I made it a little ritual for myself on my way to, go to bed every night. I would fill my carafe and make sure there was like my husband had, a glass of water, and I had a glass of water, and, we were kind of like set for, just kind of like made me feel very proactive. And I like feeling that way. And, drinking water, we talk, and I want to get to this next kind of micro step, which, so for me, it was the glass carafe, right? That kind of helped me get the water down. Water is not easy for everyone to drink. It's something that, again, we can feel bored of, or we just want like something flavorful. And I love a micro step in the book. I think it's from Moyo, the economist and author, Dambisa.
Yes.
And she mentions, I believe it's a she mentions that, adding in like a flavorful electrolyte or something of that, even just lemon to something to get the water down to make it taste better is, a great way of trying to get those glasses in. But also, this leads me to the biggest micro step that I need to adopt right now, which is the caffeine cutoff. So I am finding that as a new mom, I'm just exhausted, and I'm finding that I'm drinking more caffeine than I used to, which also has its qualms with breastfeeding or whatever, all the things. We it also is not great for your nervous system, and it's just, you get into this perpetual cycle. And I think anyone who drinks coffee understands the cycle that we're talking about. So can you guys go into the caffeine cutoff and explain this like genius micro step to people?
Well, I'm such a caffeine lover. So I find that as long as I stop my caffeine intake at 2 p.m., I'm fine. And that's again the scientific fact that caffeine has a long life and it's still around in your body if you drink it after 2 p.m. And so as long as I'm satisfied and had my coffee fix before 2 p.m., then you can have coffee substitutes. There's a great mushroom substitute, has zero caffeine. There are so many things now in the supermarket you can pick up and experiment with. And this is part of what we advocate a lot in the book, which is swaps. It's what you said, Hannah. We are not talking about self-deprivation. And that's not because we are nice. It's because self-deprivation doesn't work.
But we're also nice.
We are nice, but the point is that we are even more important. We want this to work. And look at how many hundreds of thousands of pounds people have lost and put back on because they go for self-deprivation. You know, you have this wedding, you want to get into that dress, so you have this event. And for us, we wanted to create a way to make this sustainable. It's a lifestyle choice. It's not kind of a let's get ready for this event practice.
A quick fix. Yeah, it's not a quick fix.
To what you were saying, you said so many amazing things about like how you prime your environment to make doing these small steps easier. So buying the beautiful water carafe or drinking water from a wine glass, which I'm doing right now. Cheers, everyone. Just making it something that you like a little more special that you enjoy, keeping it next to you, keeping it next to your bed. It's so, so important to do. And, you know, adding that like lemon, or Ariana drinks so many lemons in her water. I've never seen so many lemons in her water. It's amazing. And it's so like, you know, when we were working in the office together, I'd always see it and be like so thirsty, like watching her, like pour myself a glass of water. If, you know, my partner, the only thing I really hound him about constantly is drinking more water. Like that's so important. But yeah, priming our environment just makes those small steps so much better. And that lemon can make your water like just so much more enjoyable or whatever.
Totally. Okay, before we go, because I know that there is a workshop that is about to happen, I just want to leave knowing your absolute favorite micro step in the book from both of you.
I said
my absolute favorite micro step is the last thing I like to do at night, which is turning off my phone and charging it outside my bedroom. And that may seem a very big step to start with. So what we recommend is breaking it down. If that's too much, break it down to one night a week. And see the impact of not sleeping next to your phone. 72% of the world sleeps with their phones either on their nightstand or cuddled up with them. And then what happens if we wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or whatever, we are going to be tempted to go to our phone. And again, part of what Marina was saying, priming your environment, you want to make it as easy as possible for you to make the right healthy choice. And that means not having your phone within arm's reach, because you'll think twice about going to the kitchen or going to another room to get your phone.
Totally. And mine, I already said it, it's about the beginning of the day. It's really about not starting the day on your phone. I used to roll over and look at my phone before I was even fully awake. And now I take a minute to drink a glass of water or just set my own intention for the day. So I'm not focused from the beginning on what other people want from me and what inspires other people and what's going on in the day. I'm focused on what I want for my day, and habit stack that glass of water. It just makes all the difference.
Guys, I love that so much. And there's so much to learn from this book and so many easy things that you can do to really set yourself up to thrive. So thank you guys so much for having me be a part of this. I'm so honored. Full circle moment over here. So thank you again, and I'll let you guys get on to the next part of this event tonight.
Thank you so much.
Hannah, thank you so much. Yes, both Marina and I are so grateful to you. And also, we are going to be working on a micro steps book for kids just in time for baby Preston.
Oh,
To start practicing. And one of our favorite things is to make your children be your accountability buddies.
I
So
love
you
it.
and Blossom can be practicing drinking water or swapping sugar and holding each other accountable. So thank you for being with us. We love you, and you are
Thank
from
you
the
so
beginning
much.
a big part of Thrive.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your event. And I can't wait to chat all things accountability with babies.
Thank you, Hannah.
Ariana, thank you so much too. You have been incredible. This was every time we talk, I learn something new that I didn't know about you. So I really appreciate that. And for the next part of this event, we want to welcome Joey Hubbard, Thrive's Chief Training Officer, who is incredible and will be leading a workshop.
And guys, you are in for a treat because Joy is quite magical. He's been my friend, as I like to say, for 3,000 years. And when I founded Thrive, I reached out to him, the first person I reached out to, and he joined me on this journey. So thank you, Joy. Thank you, Marina. I love you guys.
Thank you so much, Ariana. Joey, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome. Everyone, Joey will be leading a workshop and we'll be asking some audience questions at the end. So feel free, as Joey is talking, to put your questions for him and we'll get to as many as we can. Take it away, Joey.
Thanks, Marina. Hi, Third Place Books and everyone. I'm going to share a little bit of what we talk about in relationship to this area of nutrition and hydration. You've heard lots of microsteps tonight from Hannah and Ariana and Marina. I want to get in a little bit to the mindset shift that's necessary when we dig into this area, and recognize that during this time period, it's probably been one of the most difficult periods in modern history for people to really manage this area of their lives. When stress and anxiety are raised, one of the comforts that we have as humans is food. Food has always been a nurturing, comforting experience for people. And, so when we're in a point in time in history where we don't get connection and we aren't able to be around the people that we love and care about most, we go through some holidays that are, really big food oriented holidays. And we aren't able to do that. We'll see, and what we've seen is that people have said, okay, I'm doing things to manage this time period, but I'm not going to worry about food. And there's some understanding around that. But I want to have you think about this a little bit differently, because I do think that if you recognize the nutritional element of really appreciating and honoring and really making sure the food that you eat is worthy of you, and we'll talk a little about where I get that line, you can see that the shift isn't so much about having to sacrifice, but it becomes more about what you choose to put into your system and honoring your system, and really recognizing that when we create the right habits because we honor our system, this whole process becomes a lot easier. So let's dig in a little bit. First thing I want to ask you, and this is for your reflection, you can even write it in the chat or hold it for questions at the end. But what gets in the way of you being able to make really healthy food choices? Now, healthy food choices can mean different things to different people. So I don't want to even qualify what that means, but for you, you know what that means for you. What is it that gets in the way? What challenges you? What makes it more difficult? Now, again, I've already outlined pandemic could be one of those things. But ask yourself, in my mindset, in my habit, what is it that I typically do? What are the things I typically love that gets in my way? It's just an awareness right now, nothing to do about it, but we're going to talk about it more later. So every time we do the work we do with whomever we do it with, I always land in mindset is the critical element to be able to make any behavior change you want in your life. There's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system whose responsibility it is to basically filter the world based on what we believe. So if I believe that I'm not good at, following through on my diet, even though I start a diet, I'm pretty sure in my mind it won't last very long. And many of you have had that experience. Our mindset is driving what we do, not what we want, but what we believe is driving what we do. So one of the first elements here is start to come into alignment between what we want and what we believe, right? So if I know that I want to weigh less or eat differently or have a different form of nutrition, but and my belief is I can't do that, I'm not good at that, then as I said, you won't match those two. So how do you start to match them? You start to ask yourself, what is the experience I'm looking for? And how can I start to create a belief system that believes that? That's why micro steps are so important, because a part of our brain that listens to us knows how many times we started on a diet and didn't complete it. And so when you say I'm going to eat a certain way, it literally won't believe you. So the thing you want to do is the smallest action you can take. You can take too small to fail. That allows you to start baby stepping your way towards changing the mindset first, and then you change the habit. So changing what you believe. So if you have beliefs, these are some that we just put up, like recharging throughout the workday is a waste of time and productivity. That could be a mindset that you have, or I have to choose between taking care of myself and being successful, or I don't have time to eat well. Those are mindsets that can get in the way of just even having a healthy lifestyle. If you think that I can't be successful and care for myself at the same time, there is no way you're going to care for yourself. There's no way you're going to eat well if you think that's going to get in the way of you being successful. You understand that? So you want to challenge the beliefs that may be getting in the way of you eating in the way that works best for you. And again, there's so many different ways to eat, so many different ways that it works for people, that there is no right way. But understanding what that means for you can be really important. Some of the data out there, and this is just so you have the ROI. This isn't news to any of you really, but that there is a 66% decrease in your productivity when you are eating an unhealthy diet. Now, and I'm showing you donuts on the screen, so that's not the far extreme, but think about it from this perspective. It's easy for us to put things in our system that don't work. So I was talking to Michelle Williams, who's the dean at the Harvard Public School of Health. And she said to me, right now, if you can just tell people to reduce processed sugar and reduce processed foods and drink more water, to Marina's point earlier, those three things make a huge difference right now. Processed foods and processed sugar, they actually increase the inflammation in our body. And when our body's inflamed, it's less viral resistant. So if you just take it from what do I do to make sure my body's in the right place? And by the way, inflammation is at the core of all of the pre-existing conditions for COVID, but also the main killers of humans in the world are inflammation related diseases. So processed food, processed sugar inflame our body. So just an awareness, it impacts all levels of productivity, our brain and everything else, but it also affects our health. We saw something really interesting. They did a study where they asked people to increase fruits and vegetables over a 2-year period. Now, when they talked about increase, it would be like if you normally ate one fruit or vegetable a day, go to 2. If you ate 2, go to 4, right? So it's like doubling what you would normally eat. And what they found is that for the group that did that, their life satisfaction boost over a 2-year period was similar to if you had gotten a job after you've been unemployed for several years. Like the experience in the brain, in the system, in the excitement and the enthusiasm. So over a 2-year period, eating more fruits and vegetables makes a difference. Now, again, I'm not vegetarian. I'm not vegan. I do have meat in my diet periodically. I don't have a lot of it, but I do eat it. And so there's no right or wrong about it, but increasing it does make a difference in your overall life satisfaction. So again, in the book, we're going to dig into all of these small steps that you can take around nutrition, hydration, etc. But I want to give you a few of those today. Maya Adams, who's so she's a nutritionist at Stanford Medicine, and we spent a lot of time. We were building out one of the programs in our organization called Thriving Mind, and she has a whole approach to eating and nutrition that I actually really love. And her quote was, "Eat the foods that are worthy and deserving of you." Now, that's a mindset shift where you actually pause and you ask yourself, is this food worthy of me? And, so you have that donut sitting there and you have to ask yourself that question. You may say, yes, it is worthy of me right now. I really want a donut. But as you start to really think through it, maybe, okay, I'll have a donut every once in a while, but it isn't worthy of me doing it nightly or doing it on a regular basis. Periodically, yeah, that may be the thing I do. And so one of the things that she talks about is this relationship we have with food is really important, in loving that relationship, and quality experiences around it are really, really important. So let's talk about some of the things that you can think through. One, is this food good enough for me? Like when you look at the food that you're choosing, is it good enough for you? Now, this isn't an ego statement. It's is the quality of this going to make a difference in my life? Is it going to move me forward? Is it going to move me backwards? That's a really simple question to ask yourself. And as I said earlier, you can easily decide, I'm in a beautiful restaurant. We've had a beautiful meal. I'm going to have that, chocolate lava cake, but I may only have a couple to taste it. The quality of it is good, is worthy of it for me. But I also want to make sure I don't do too much of it because I don't want to impact my system in that way. So again, you decide those things. We're not trying to make a right or wrong here, but I want you to be thoughtful, mindful, that's kind of saying, about it. And then, do I know enough about where this food comes from? She says, again, you want to get rid of processed food, processed sugar. So is the food coming from a healthy source? Can you read what those ingredients are? And are those ingredients known to you? If there's an ingredient there that you don't understand or you can't read, that's a good signal that that's not food that you want to eat. So spend time really making sure that the food that you're putting in your system, in your family system, and the people that you love system is worthy of you. It has the quality that's important enough to really re-energize your body. And then here's some micro steps that you can think about, right? So the first, right, slow down, get into the taste, the flavor, the texture, that mindful eating piece. What it does really is it slows us down in our pulling in food, and we think through what we eat. And it also slows down how much food we take in. So when you note it, when you pay attention to it, there's something that happens to our senses where not only do we appreciate it more, we slow down, which actually helps in our digestive tract, and we don't eat as much. So all those things come together when we slow down. Bianca talks about, how we sit down and appreciate what it is we do. It's interesting, whether it's coffee, whether it's tea, whether it's anything, we know that if you slow down and just savor it, appreciate it, acknowledge it, again, mindful eating, mindful drinking, it does make a difference in terms of how that goes into your system. But it also, as I said, slows down how much you take in. The coffee thing, we talk a lot about why caffeine after 2 can impact your ability to sleep. Those 2 things can be connected. So the thing I would say to you there is, if you decide that you do want to be more mindful about when and how you drink coffee, the only thing I would tell you is test. Stop drinking it at 2 every day and see if you don't sleep better. If that doesn't change anything, great. If it does change anything, you'll notice in about 2 weeks, then that may be your cue. Don't put caffeine in your system after 2. The other thing I just want you to think about in this time period where we're, especially in COVID, we're seeing people are eating standing, go grab a few bites and come back to their desk and continue with work. Even if it's not a long time, it could, be a few minutes. Sit down, slow down, let your system eat and enjoy. There's a whole thing. I don't know if any of you have been watching Stanley Tucci, the CNN series. He's been traveling through Italy. you really appreciate the time and the quality of meals in those countries, Italy and France, and the value of sitting and being with each other and really enjoying eating. Again, there's something that happens with that where the food intake has a different impact on them than it does on us. So how do we make sure we're enjoying and sitting down and taking time to go through that? And then with what Marina was saying earlier, when you drink water, and by the way, 80% of us are dehydrated. So most of us are not drinking enough water. If you wake up in the morning and you start your day with a glass of water, slice of lemon, the reason why lemon is good is because it's been known to make our body more cold and flu resistant when we drink it in the morning. So room temperature to warm, slice of lemon is a great way to start your morning. You hydrate your body right away. Coffee is a diuretic. So if you start with coffee, you're taking the water out of your system. So start with water and then tea, coffee, whatever you like. But make sure you're drinking as much water as you drink anything else throughout your day, and you will see an impact. You'll feel more vital. You'll feel more energy. You'll feel more alive. You'll notice in the afternoon that lull that occurs for a lot of people will go away when your system is hydrated. If you want to look online, you can see the difference between a hydrated and a dehydrated brain. And there's a big difference. So you want to say, keep yourself as hydrated as you can. And again, environment is critical, whether it's a beautiful carafe, whether it is, a specific thing you do. I know there are bottles out there now that beep when you're supposed to drink them. There's other bottles that have how much you should hit by what hour of the day. So there's lots of fun ways to make it easy to drink more water, but get something that's going to inspire you to do that if you're not somebody that's doing that already. All right, and then here's a really challenging one for some people. Some people are hooked on things like Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or Diet X, Y, and Z. And by the way, those do have an impact on you, whether or not they seem to have as much sugar as something else. There is impact on you when you're drinking those drinks. So find a way to say, okay, if I drink 4 Diet Cokes a day, let me drop that down to 3 and switch one of those with water, or 2 and switch 2 of those with water. Start small, give yourself a way to win, but start thinking about what you can do to get more water versus, a Coke or anything like that in your system. So let's pause here. Love to take some questions. Anything we can do to support you here. If any of you have a challenge in this area, want to give us some time for that.
Thank you so much, Joey. We do have some great questions that came in. Interestingly, there's a bit of a theme for some of them about others who live with you or around you. So, it would be easier, Olivia's saying, if I lived alone, but I don't have a whole family. What do you do when you have people around you who aren't necessarily, eating the most nutritionally or drinking water?
Well, again, like you said, when you love people, you can give them a little nudge here and there. You can't control what they're doing, especially if you're not the parent. And even when you are the parent, that makes it hard. But, encouraging through information. Here's what we know about hydration. You're 14% more productive. How would you like, you want that productivity? It's like, yeah, of course. You want more energy, yeah, of course. Okay, great. I'm getting you this water bottle that's going to remind you when it's time for you to drink water. Give it to them as a present. So
show them that dehydrated brain.
Show them the dehydrated brain. That'll scare you. You'll go, okay, I'm drinking a lot of water now.
Don't show your kid.
Yeah, I mean, find a way to do it in a way that is loving and caring. Obviously, it doesn't work when we're demanding anything of anybody, but just tell them you care and you're interested in them being healthier, and here's why, and all of that. And they may not do it all, but they may do small steps. Hey, can we order lunch together? We're going to order a salad from X, Y, and Z, or I'll make a salad for you to take, to eat versus the thing you were going to order that was, McDonald's or something.
Yeah, and for kids, you have kids, Joey, and Ariana was saying before, like make it an accountability buddy thing. Embrace the swaps, right? Like you can drink one, swap one fruit for one sugary snack a day. Make it small, right?
Yeah. And mine are older now. So my son and I just had a conversation today. We're going to go on a cleanse together. right? So you can partner up, even as they get older with certain approaches because he's into it, and so yeah, let's do it. So you can create fun around that as well.
Yeah. Kim is asking, what is your opinion about intermittent fasting?
I have been on that routine for a very long time. I get a lot of heat internally because if there's a meeting that's happening around 5, I'm like, no, I'm eating, and everybody goes, eating? You're on old man, watch already. And I am 60, but I eat around 11 and then around 4:35 every day, and that's it. So I wait until 11 every day. So I do take I do intentionally do that intermittent fasting. It works for me. I always tell people, check it out though. It's something that works for some, doesn't work for others. So I do like it a lot.
Absolutely. And then also talking about like the timing of when we eat. Rebecca is saying, I try not to eat so close to bed, but my partner gets home from work late and we enjoy dinner together. So how can I ensure healthy digestion and good sleep on the nights when we have dinner late?
Yeah, if you're going to do dinner late, you want to do stuff that's really easily digestible, soup, salads, those kinds of things. Heavy things will impact your ability to sleep late. So want to be careful about what you do. If for the two of you, it's more of a ritual of hanging together, right? So maybe it's about just being able to hang together and have some soup or have something light where you get that moment. But heavy meals definitely will impact your ability to sleep, and they don't digest as well. So you're going to see weight come from eating late at night.
Yeah. Here's something that plagues a lot of people is sort of, we're so tired and we work so hard, and being so busy at work, whether you're working from home or you're going to work, it's hard to find that time and energy to meal plan and like plan. So what tips do you have to but we know planning our meals is, really great for us, but sometimes it can be hard when we're rushing around. What tips do you have for that?
Well, if you set up a time, like Sunday afternoons where you can do it, and maybe even, it's like we cook a bunch of things Sunday afternoon that we kind of pack up for the week and freeze. And even when you make something really good, make a little more of it. I always tell people, if you're cooking, cook a little extra and then, pack it up and freeze it. So you've got stuff there that you can always pull out and reheat that is good and healthy and the stuff you like to eat.
It's awesome. And somebody's Beth is asking, is hydration related to the quality of our sleep?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can find that when the brain's dehydrated, part of what will happen is that it's hard. It doesn't have energy. So one of the things people don't recognize about sleep is you need energy to sleep. That when you have no energy and you're completely exhausted, it can be hard to sleep actually.
Or sleep well, right?
Yeah,
because a lot of stuff happens in our brains when we sleep.
That's right.
I don't think about that. That's so interesting.
So getting water, getting hydration, that's why it's just good to make sure you have your body in its best place, that you've been moving and exercising it during the day, because that energy it gives you helps you sleep better at night.
Yeah. And are there any hints that you particularly love, any micro steps to help us get that better sleep?
Well, I'm a routine guy, like you know that system of what happens if you do the same thing every night, like you did with your kids. It's like, I like to take a hot shower. I like to get a book, get my PJs, just, kick back in my bed, got a comfortable, lay back pillow and read. And that, a half hour, sometimes an hour of that is my routine before I go to bed. And it works for me. I sleep really well. And so that's kind of my nightly microstep.
That's awesome. Someone else is saying, I've gained weight during COVID, and they're self-conscious now with vaccinations going out in the world. What are some small steps we can take if we, have sort of fallen out of, the place we want to be nutritionally with how we eat? And I'm mindful of time, so this will be our last question.
Yeah, just being gentle with yourself. when you beat yourself up about the fact that you gained weight, it's like, okay, that's human. Be gentle with yourself, and then start taking baby steps. Like, what are you going to do daily to start getting back on track? And it may be, well, I'm going to walk 15 minutes a day. Okay, great. And I'm going to eat earlier at night. Okay, great. And start there. And then when you get going on that rhythm, you might say, I'm going to make sure that I have a salad at night, a good lunch in the afternoon, and a light breakfast. That might be my routine. And that might help me start to drop some weight. But one of the things that has been most challenging for people is that when you start to beat yourself up, you won't change your habit. They don't go together. So
that's so important, that self-compassion, especially this year, right?
That's right. Even more so this year. I mean, a lot of people are in that same boat. So being kind to yourself coming through that is really important.
Yeah, so important. Well, it's 10. I want to respect everyone's time. It's 10 Eastern time. I don't know where everyone else is. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Third Place Books, for having us. Joey, thank you. Anyone watching, you can follow me or Ariana or Thrive or Hannah. I think Libby's going to put our handles in the chat and sign up for Thrive's newsletters. But thank you all so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Joey. Thank you to Arianna Huffington, and of course to Hannah Bronfman as well. An amazing discussion earlier. I'm so glad you all could join us this evening, and we dropped a link in the chat to Your Time to Thrive. We have signed book plates for that book. If you don't have one coming at you yet, why wait? Now is the time to start your micro-step journey. Go ahead and grab a copy of that. We're happy to ship anywhere in the United States, and if you're local to the Seattle area, you can pick one up here at Third Place Books as well. Thank you as well to Nicole Song, our wonderful Seattle partner, who helped spread the word about this event. Also check out her books in the chat. And thank you so much to the Thrive team. This was a real pleasure. And no matter where you are out there tonight watching, thank you for joining us, and be safe, do good work, and we hope to see you here in Seattle soon. Thank you so much to all of you. Have a good night.